Howdy, howdy, folks. I just thought I'd do a video here on my experience with upgrading Fedora 23 workstation to Fedora 24. And I know you're probably saying, yeah, look how long Fedora 24 has been out. Why are you just now doing that? Well, it's just that I've been working with Linux for the past 10 years, and yeah, I used to be rather adventurous with trying out new distros and trying to stay up with the cutting edge and upgrading to the new versions, when they first came out. And, I've even experimented with some of the rolling release distros with Arch and even with Slackware on the current repository, right? Which is pretty much the same as turning Slackware into rolling release, right? So, and I've also, when I got into Ubuntu, I was very faithful about upgrading every 6 months when a new version came out. And boy, I tell you what, all that stuff, lots of problems. All right. I mean, it's okay if you're just experimenting, if you're just playing around, but if you need a machine for actual production use, you want it to be stable. So for that reason, I do tend to stick to the more stable versions now. My actual workhorse machine is using Lubuntu 14.04, and yeah, again, 16.04 has been out for about 5 months now, right? But I've learned, just like with Fedora, just don't be in a hurry to upgrade. So, and part of the reason for that is because there are going to be bugs early on. And also in the case of Fedora, when the Fedora 24 first came out, the RPM Fusion repository was not really well populated yet. And Fedora is one of those distros where you absolutely, positively have to have third-party repositories installed because there's really not a whole lot in the official Fedora repositories, right? Where with Ubuntu or Debian, hey, you got tons of software in the official repositories, so there's not really that much of a need for the third-party repositories. But anyway, I've waited this long now to do the upgrade to Fedora 24, right? And I have to tell you, I was really, really impressed with the upgrade process because it used to be with Fedora, you would have to download this graphical user interface type of utility to do the upgrade. It would take forever to get the upgrade done. And also, it used to be that there were a lot of problems with it because, for example, when you installed Fedora, if you were to accept the default partitioning setup, it turned out that when you do the upgrade, that boot partition was not large enough in order to allow the installation of the new kernel for the new version. So you'd have to jump through all kinds of hoops in order to try to clean that up somehow and to get the upgrade done. So it was really crazy, right? And then also in the past, using that graphical user utility to do the upgrade, sometimes it would work fine, sometimes it would not, and so there have been more times than one where I've ended up with a non-bootable machine after the upgrade, and I would have to end up doing a clean install anyway. But now they're not using that graphical utility anymore. They're using the DNF utility with a DNF upgrade plugin, and I have to tell you, this is absolutely, positively the smoothest upgrade I've ever seen on any Linux distro. I mean, it's just, you follow the simple instructions here on this Fedora magazine, and I will include the link to this below the video. But it's just a few simple steps, doing it from the command line. didn't take long at all. I mean, and boot up perfectly. Everything worked perfectly, and it was great. But so basically, I mean, scroll down here, and we can see what's going on. Just do a DNF upgrade, and actually, you know what? Let me. Just dropped my mouse. Sorry about that. Anyway, let me increase the font size a little bit here so you can see this a little bit better. There you go. Anyway, so start out with doing a DNF upgrade, install the DNF plugin, start the update, and specify the release version, which is release version 24, and then that will download all of the upgrade packages. When the download is done, then you just do this command here in order to reboot it and upgrade it. Okay, and I have to say I'm impressed with this website too, because they're actually having you log in as the normal user using sudo. I have to tell you, it drives me crazy going and looking at all these different Linux tutorials where they just have you log in at the root command prompt all the time. Ugh, don't like that at all. It's just mind-boggling, that they're doing these tutorials and they can't practice proper security, right? So anyway, do that, and it'll take a little while, but it's not that bad either, because as I said, it's just way faster than it used to be with that graphical utility. And I was really amazed at how fast the whole process finished. Okay, and of course, once you're up, okay, you want to test it out. Now, so far as Fedora itself goes, yeah, it's okay, but it's okay if you want a good workstation, with cutting edge stuff, right? For example, my Ubuntu 14.04, right? Yeah, it's got stuff on it that's really old, like the LibreOffice. It's stuck at LibreOffice version 4.3, really old. And yeah, I'd like to have newer stuff with it, right? But, I learned from hard experience, don't mess with those intermediate versions of Ubuntu or of any of its derivatives, right? Because those intermediate versions, those non-long-term support versions, they can be very problematic. They can crash your system, okay? So, but Fedora, yeah, it's comes out a lot more often, of course, than the long-term support versions of Ubuntu, so you're going to have more up-to-date stuff. But again, also by being cutting edge, yeah, you got to expect some bugs, all right? So far, I haven't really had a problem with Fedora on this machine. The problem I've really had with Fedora is mainly just with the applications. And for one thing, as I said before, right, Fedora and anything that has to do with Red Hat Enterprise, CentOS, Oracle, whatever, you've absolutely got to have the third-party repositories installed, because otherwise you're just not going to have a lot of the software that you need to have. And even with the third-party repositories installed, this really still not all that much, right? And just one example is when I was trying to set this machine up to make my recording, and I found out that my choices were something called Record My Desktop and VocoScreen, okay? And I think it's VocoScreen. Let's see what it is here. Yeah, VocoScreen, right there, right? And neither one of them really worked well. Now, I mean, the Record My Desktop did, okay? Except that it saves the video in a format which is not recognizable by the video editors that are available for Fedora, right? So it's like, okay, what's the point, right? I mean, you know, if you can't open it up and edit it with anything here, then what's the point, right? The Voco screen would absolutely not recognize my Logitech USB headset here that I'm using to record the audio. So what I ended up doing was going out to Open Broadcaster software, and I just downloaded the source code from there. Actually, I'll take that back. I did not build it from source. It says here, you know, that if you click on build from source, right, which was my only choice I could make since there are no Fedora packages listed there. Well, it actually didn't take you to that. It actually takes you over here, and on this particular screen, it says Fedora installation unofficial. And again, a few simple steps. You're not actually building from source. As that link said, you're installing a repository for the Open Broadcaster software, and you'll use that then in order to install the software, right? So, so I just went ahead and did that, and worked beautifully, and that's what I'm using right now. Okay, so I did get the Open Broadcaster software installed, working great, right? And the other thing too is with audio with USB, and USB audio on Linux has always been a bugaboo. It's not so much that the operating system can't deal with it, right? Because if you plug in a USB headset, yeah, it's going to get recognized immediately, right? But it's just like the individual applications don't work well with USB audio. So the way I got around that here was I opened up my Yum extender, and I did find a couple different packages there to install to manage my audio. And so there's Pulse Audio Manager, which I was able to open that up and go in and configure the Pulse Audio to use the USB headset for both the microphone and the playback, and worked fine. And Pulse Audio Volume Control also is there. And so so far it works okay, right? But still, certain other applications don't seem to work with it. There's my Pativi, which is one video editor, and I've been told by other people that Pativi works, but on this machine it just flat out doesn't, right? It'll open up a video clip, and you try to do anything with it, it just sits there, right? OpenShot Video Editor, okay, that one does work, except I could not get the audio playback to work on that. So there's a good chance I'm going to have to transfer this video to another machine to do my editing, you know, which is okay. But anyway, the OpenShot and Pativi, they're really the only two video editors which I saw available in the Yum extender. And I'd like it very much if they had something like KDN Live or something like that, but they don't. So, as I said, I'm probably just going to have to transfer this video to another machine and just do the editing over on it. So, who knows, maybe I can just transfer it over to my Lubuntu machine and open it up on KDN Live there. But anyway, and here is Yum Extender. Now, Yum Extender has been around forever, and it just boggles my mind that they're still using Yum Extender for Fedora. And I mean, it works okay. It works, except it's got a little bit of flakiness to it. Like, for one thing, don't go up here and maximize the Yum Extender window. If you do that, then it's going to extend beyond the screen for whatever reason. I don't know why. And instead of just filling the screen like it's supposed to. And that kind of bit me here a little while ago when I clicked over here on groups. and I came over here and selected some things to install. But when I this maximized, my apply button was completely off screen. It was hidden and I couldn't move it back. And so the only thing I had showing was just install all, remove all, or undo. And that, of course, none of those choices were what I wanted. So I couldn't move this back. I tried double clicking the title bar up here, because sometimes that will unmaximize the screen. That wasn't working. What I finally did was I just came down here and clicked on the little icon for Yum Extender, and that minimized the window. Then I clicked on it again, maximized the window, and well, it didn't maximize it, but it brought it back up in such a way where I could actually see what I was doing. So yeah, it's kind of flaky, but it does work, and it is a little bit faster than it used to be. I remember back on CentOS 5 when I used to install the Yum Extender, it would just take forever, right? And I don't know why, but it did. Another thing too with Fedora and CentOS and all of the other Red Hat Enterprise derivatives is SE Linux, right? I'm a big believer in SE Linux. I use it, but the thing is, SE Linux is horribly difficult to manage or to troubleshoot if you don't have the SE troubleshoot package installed. And for some reason, they don't install it by default. None of those distros install it by default. So you have to go in and install it yourself. And this was the same way. So I had to go in and install the SE troubleshoot myself. But anyway, also here, I suppose I should show you my desktop. There you go. I use LXDE. All right. Now, some of the reviews that I've seen of Fedora, focus on the fact that, they can't go into the GNOME menus and find what they need and all that. So I don't use GNOME 3 desktop, okay, unless I have absolutely no other choice. And, for example, I got one machine running Kali Linux. GNOME 3 is my only real choice there. So I run it, I deal with it. But I avoid it whenever possible. So I just use LXDE because it's nice and simple, very, very lightweight, even though that's not really a concern on this machine because, this particular machine's got 16 gig of memory, a pair of quad-core Opteron processors. Yeah, I know it's old, but it's a Hewlett-Packard from 2009, back when Opterons were still being used in workstations. But I mean, it runs very nicely, and so I'm very happy with it. Other than just a package selection and the fact that some of the packages are buggy, the operating system itself I'm not really had a problem with. So far, perusing the web, playing YouTube videos, all that works very well, no problem. And my Office applications, they work well, no problems. The only problem I've really had with it is just like right now, as I said, just getting these screen recorder and video editor applications to work properly. But yeah, other than that, I've been okay with it. Okay, but normally I would not have installed Fedora. I actually, when I first got this machine, I got it from eBay on the cheap, $175, right? Not a bad deal. No operating system with it. So I said, okay, I'll just get it. I originally meant to install CentOS 7 on it, set it up as a desktop machine, which, yeah, I know you don't ordinarily think of CentOS as a desktop operating system. It's more of a server operating system, but you jump through a few hoops. You can set it up as a halfway decent desktop system. But I went to install CentOS 7 and it would not recognize the network adapter, right? So I said, well, that's strange. So just for curiosity, I booted up on Fedora, and it recognized the network adapter okay. So I just went ahead and went with that. And as I say, so far, I mean, I've been happy with it, other than these little glitches with the applications and not having as many of the applications as I would like. It's actually been okay. All right. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much a introduction to upgrading the Fedora 24, a little bit of overview of my experience with Fedora 24. So hope you enjoyed it. And if you like the videos, if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.